Jay, I want to be clear to our audience. Police are currently treating this as an incident, as an act of terrorism. We don't have full and complete knowledge of all the facts yet, but there's been so many, and it almost always turns out to be it. It's a perfect time in light of the president's speech to examine all of this, and I think we really need a reassessment as free people around the world, and that is to go exactly to the heart of what the president challenged the Muslim world to do on their own, to throw them out, to get rid of them, or to drive them out of their places of worship, drive them out of their countries. No ground will we cede to them, and it's got to be treated as a cancer in human society. You know, we're indoctrinating these kids, Palestinian kids, when they're 3. They're being taught to hate Jews and Christians and Americans.
Yeah, so this is what the president did was lay out what should have been done over the last 8 years, but President Obama just would not do it. And I don't want to politicize this, but when you have 8 years of the vacuum that was created, no wonder, as Geraldo said, these cell groups metastasized. They went out for training and then came back in. I mean, does anybody want to argue tonight that we shouldn't have an executive order restricting who's coming into the country so that we know who these people are? I mean, does anybody think that tonight? Does anybody want to argue that case tonight, that we should not know from these particular countries of origin who these people are before we let them into the United States of America? I'd like to take on that argument. But to the point you made, this is a significant enough issue now globally. It's hitting everywhere. It's not just in the United States. It's not just in Europe. It is everywhere. That when you look at, when the president says your places of worship, that means you got to go into the mosque and you got to root it out. Into the communities, into those towns. If you see something, you got to report to the authorities. But, Sean, it's going to have to also include the Muslim community willing to do this. Because what's happened in Europe, it's been a failed experiment. They allowed in this population, they allowed in Sharia law as to be almost part of the culture within these communities. And it's one thing to respect somebody's culture, but it's another thing to allow them to violate the laws of your country. And that's what's happened here. And we've got right now a situation where you've got an Islamization of Europe that is significant. Obviously, we're seeing it in the UK. You've seen it in France. You're seeing it in Germany. But let's not think we're not immune to it here in the United States, because we're not immune to it. The plan for the Islamists, I said this when I wrote that book 3 years ago, Rise of ISIS, that this was the plan all along, to infiltrate and to inculcate these people. And again, they'll do it to the youth. But here, as we've been saying all night, they picked on young girls. That's who was the target of this concert.
But it's always been.
Girls.
This is, nobody seems to understand the whole caliphate and what the caliphate is. The caliphate is convert or die. The caliphate is a worldwide expansion. And you either accept their way or they will kill you. That's what it says. That's what the ideology is.